Welcome to Valheim, a brutal Viking style exploration game. In this guide I will show you how to survive your first day in Valheim. Links to chapters are in the description. Let's dive into Valheim. The first thing you want to do is to create your character. How you are going to do this is up to your personal preference, but if you are ready, press done. Press start when you are ready. Next we need to create a world. Give it a name. The seed is randomly generated and will change every time you create a new world. Now press start. When you are dropped in the world, you will be greeted by Hugin. Hugin is a friend who will give you tips when you interact with him with the E key on your keyboard. When you have explored something new, Hugin will turn up and you can interact with him with the E key to get new information. Before we start, I'm going to explain a little bit the basics of the UI. On the top left are your inventory slots where you can place items like your weapons for quick access. On the bottom left you see the food you have eaten and the duration. Besides that you see your health bar, always keep an eye on it. Eat when needed and keep a close eye at it during a fight. On the middle you see your stamina. This will drain when you run or if you are in a fight. When not needed, do not try to sprint and also keep an eye on it during a fight, as you will not block attacks as you run out of stamina. On the top right you see if you are sheltered, close to a fire, if you are wet, which will drain your stamina, and your rested buff, which is built up by the comfort of your home by placing items inside. A minimap will also show your location and biome which you are currently in. From the top menu you can also reach your compendium. The first one is all your encounters with Hugin. The second compendium will show your skills in game. They will go higher once you progress in game, but note that if you die a lot they will also go down and you will need to grow your skills again. The third compendium will show all the trophies you have received from killed animals. We are now ready to start our adventure. The first thing you want to do is to gather wood branches and stones from the ground. You can also get food from nearby raspberry bushes. If you have found enough wood and stones, you can create your first tools. The first ones you want to create is a hammer, which will be used later on for building, a club as your first weapon, and a stone axe for cutting down trees. We are now going to find a nice place for our home. While exploring you will find all kinds of different resources. Pick them up and store them in your pocket, we will need them later. You can build a home from scratch or look for an existing structure in the meadows to rebuild. I found a nice spot and I'm going to repair this as my new home. First we need to place a workbench. The workbench provides you with the tools to build with building pieces, craft new items or to repair your armor, weapons or tools. You can build within the radius of the workbench, shown as a white dotted outline. If you need more space, place another workbench. As a bonus, the workbench also prevents enemies from spawning within the workbench range. Every Viking needs a bed to rest after a long day of hunting and fighting. Your bed is your spawn point. If you die, and you will a few times, you will spawn back in the game inside your bed. After building your bed, do not forget to claim it and don't forget to reclaim your bed if you need to move it. If you do not claim your bed and die, you will spawn naked at the boss stone altar. For comfort and to be able to go to sleep, your home needs a fire. A fire needs to be built on the ground and cannot be built on the wooden floor pieces. Do note that you need to vent the smoke, else you will take damage. It is recommended to build a small chimney. A fire provides also your home with extra rested bonus. Your personal inventory has a limited amount of slots to hold items. That's why it's recommended to build one or a few wooden chests. You can place them everywhere within the workbench range. Usually at the start of the game I have one close to the workbench to hold crafting items and another close to a fire to hold my food. Now it is time to create a few extra tools and weapons. First we are going to create a bow for which you will need wood and leather scraps, which you will get from killing boars. For defense we are going to create a wooden shield. Some of the shields have an option to pick a style. Your shield is equipped at your right hand and can be used by pressing your right mouse button. We are also going to replace our stone axe with something a little bit better, called the flint axe, which requires wood and flint, which can be found near shorelines. Our next tool is the hoe. The hoe can be useful while building your home to flatten, create a sand path or raise areas of land. To raise an area you will need stone. At the start of the game you will only wear a top made of leather scraps. Since it's not cool for Vikings to run around bottom naked, go hunt some boars and create a pair of pants. Much better, is it? To be able to create new crafting items, you will need to upgrade your workbench. From the building menu, we are going to build a chopping block to upgrade our workbench to level 2. Workbench upgrades needs to be placed close to the workbench. Having better armor can be crucial in Valheim. With your workbench upgraded to level 2, you can now create the leather tunic armor set, for which you will need to kill deer. The bow we just created is a useful tool for this. After creating your new armor set, do not forget to equip it in your inventory. At this point you will also be able to create your first armor cape, for which you will need deer hide and bone fragments. Bone fragments can be found beneath stone structures in the meadows. It is also a good time at this moment to check if you can upgrade your weapons and your tools or find new crafting items useful for you. We are now going to upgrade our workbench to level 3 by building a tanning rack, for which you will need wood, flint, leather scraps and deer hide. The tanning rack also needs to be placed within the range of the workbench. Workbench level 3 will unlock new recipes and upgrades. With your workbench at level 3, you can now upgrade your leather set from armor 2 to armor 4, which is a nice upgrade. You should also be able to upgrade your deer hide cape to level 2. Again, also check for upgrades of your weapons and tools. In this guide I will cover your first 3 days, but before moving to the next biome, I highly recommend fully upgrading your leather armor set unless you are comfortable with food usage and fighting enemies. Food is very important in Valheim as it provides you with health and stamina. There are 3 kinds of food in Valheim. Food which will provide more health and less stamina, food which provides less health but more stamina, and balanced food, which provides an equal amount of health and stamina. With your health bar shown on the bottom left at the lowest level of 25, you can consume 3 food items. Depending on your activity, building, exploring or fighting enemies, you may want to choose the food items which will suit your current need. Raspberries grow on small bushes scattered through the meadows. As they regrow and also are used later in game for crafting, it might be helpful to mark locations on your map. You will also find mushrooms growing on the ground. If you are having problems seeing them, it might help to turn down the vegetation quality in the settings of Valheim. Boars can be found at different places in the meadows, alone or in small groups. You can easily range attack them with your bow, or heads-on whack them over the head with your club for their boar meat or leather scraps. Around the seaside or rivers you will encounter necks. They look cute, but be aware, they like to bite. If killed, you will get a delicious necktail to cook and nibble on. Deer will provide you with deer meat and hides. Be aware, they are easily scared, so unless you have mastered sneak, holding your console key, it is easier to kill them with a range attack from your bow. To be able to eat boar, deer or neck meat, you will need to create a cooking station from the crafting menu. The cooking station requires 2 wood per cooking station and you should be able to place 2 over one fire. While cooking meat, be careful not to get distracted, else your delicious meat will turn into coal. There is a special mentioning for honey. On your discoveries you may find beehives in broken buildings. You can shoot the beehive down with a bow from range and collect honey and the queen bee to craft a beehive at your home. Always check if the bees are happy. During the day you will likely encounter greylings. They should not be too difficult to fight. If you use only a club, block their attacks by holding your right mouse button. If you are using a shield, you can block a attack by holding the right mouse button, or parry an attack, which will stagger the enemy by pressing the right mouse button at the right time. This will require some practice. If your stamina is low, you will block less or even not, so be careful. You can also dodge attacks by holding your right mouse button and pressing the spacebar to do a roll. During the night you can encounter more difficult enemies. For your first few days it might help to be at your home at night or sleep until the next day. One of the enemies which will spawn at night is the 𝗦𝗨𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗨𝗕𝗏. It's a 𝗦𝗨𝗕 on steroids. He has more health and is a little bit more difficult to kill. You can block or parry his attacks, but his damage output may not completely block his attacks. He can also be range attacked using a bow with fire arrows. This is the 𝗦𝗨𝗨𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗨𝗕, a great dwarf who loves to vent his poisonous farts. He can be killed in close combat if you manage to dodge roll his poison cloud, or be attacked from range using fire arrows. Note that if you stop too long attacking him, he will heal himself up. He will also heal close by enemies if they are attacking you. If you are attacked in a group of enemies, target him first. You may now be ready to do a little adventuring further away. On your adventure you may cross new biomes. In your first days you may want to stay in the meadows. Valheim has a natural progression system where enemies and the environment will get more difficult once you progress in game. As you approach a new biome, the environment will change, and if you enter a new biome, your minimap on the top right of your screen will show the name of the biome you are currently in. On your trip, mark down interesting locations or where you can find resources. This can be done by opening the map with M on your keyboard. You can pick a marker style and add text to it. If you left click on a marker once, it will cross out the POI, which may be helpful later to mark a resource location emptied. If you right click on a marker, it will be removed. To be more accurate, placing a marker, zoom in first, then place your marker. On a longer trip, you may get out of your rested bonus. This can easily be restored by placing a small campfire on the ground and sit next to it until you get the rested notification on the top right of your screen. If it is raining, you may need to find or build a small shelter to craft a fire and restore your rested bonus. If you are far away from home and you may or do not want to adventure at night, you can build a little forward base. You can build a small shelter or look for an abandoned house. Just as your home base, you need to place a workbench to be able to craft. You can now place and claim a bed and craft a fire. You can build as many forward bases as needed, but do not forget to claim your bed, to prevent spawning somewhere far away from your last location. If you return home, do not forget to claim your bed again. I hope these tips have been helpful to get you through your first days in Valheim. Good luck on your adventures in Valheim. I'm out of here to explore my new world. Yay, adventure! Yay, adventure! Yay, adventure!
You